FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burley.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's episode. Unfortunately, Ash's mic was on mute, so that means I've now got to do the intro. Cheers, Ash, for talking to
everybody. It seems to, I love the StreamYard software that we've used, still mutes it at the start, but last week it didn't mute it. I don't understand why. But here we go. Anyway, I had a really good intro. That was amazing. I promise you, it was really, really good.
I heard it.
It was sound. It was fine. Cool. I'll take over now, David. Thank you very much, mate. You'll probably notice as well if you're watching live that, and you probably heard that voice if you're listening, that we have someone else here with us. So Shane Nugent is here. Shane's been on before a while back, actually, probably like a year or so ago. He's put around to come and see us. So he's going to get involved in today's conversation. Just because for you guys that know, we've done quite a lot of work together, the three of us. We all have quite a bit of experience in this topic, which is, as you've probably seen, that you're around content. Your content might seem a little bit boring, but more particularly, I want to talk about is it doesn't really matter necessarily if it's boring. It's all about whether it's actually been effective or not. And we want to talk about like the systems and stuff you can use to make sure that your content is effective, but also talk about like why I think a lot of trainers, a lot of people in this industry have what they call a content strategy, but really content itself is not a strategy on its own. And really what their strategy is hope and post, or post and hope. And you need to have a lot more of that. So we're going to dig into all those different things today. But first of all, let's say hello to Dave, and then we'll say hello to Shane. So hey, Dave, how are you doing? Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, no worries. Happy to do all the work as usual here, Ash. I think that probably is a good part to it. We're relying on technology to do things for us, which didn't work. And that's very similar to what a lot of people are doing these days with good old ChatGPT. Please create me a content plan for the month of April. Go. And then you're like, oh, I'm not generating leads from social media. That's probably why. Yeah, that's probably definitely why. Shane?
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, try and get them to do a nutrition plan for you. It's even more funny. It's literally like, how do I hit like 120 grams of protein a day or something? And then you put it in the nutrition software, it's like literally half. It's nowhere near those numbers. So it's got a bit of a way to go, I think, in lots of topics. But
yeah, definitely. I think probably ChatGPT is an interesting thing to start off then, I think, while we're talking about this. If people are watching this and they're using ChatGPT to make their content, like Dave said there, it's probably half your issue. I mean, you can spend a lot of time, I guess, trying to make it sound like you. But I want to tell you one thing, I've got to say that right, is ChatGPT, like a lot of people I speak to, they say, oh, chat's crap, it doesn't do the job. Because the only thing they're trying to get to do is to write content for you. Like that is not its sole purpose at all. It's not really, you can do a lot more things with ChatGPT that will help and support your business, and it's much more effective at doing other things. In terms of creating coaching content and resources, in terms of helping you create content for your socials, probably not the best thing for it. Yeah, it can help you give you ideas, it can help you consolidate stuff. Like for example, if you take lots of your own posts or posts that your competition is doing, and you can put it all in there and say, like, consolidate this into topics that my audience might like, that can be good. It can help you with some ideas. But in terms of writing the content, I think that's half the problem. Like, people want authenticity when it comes to the content you're putting out there. And it needs to be very specific to the audience you're trying to help. Otherwise, I just think chat makes it too general.
I'm guessing Shane's probably going to agree with this when he talks about nutrition a little bit now, but I think what we're probably not doing, or what most people are not doing with ChatGPT, is actually giving it context. Like, it has helped me so much. It helps us so much at FitPro and the 12-week incubator program. It's helped us so much build these amazing programs and setups and systems and everything. But I had to spend a lot of time getting ChatGPT ready to create the content that I want. So like Shane just mentioned then a minute ago, if you went to ChatGPT and asked him to create you a program to give me 150 grams of protein a day, and you gave no context to it, then it's probably just going to squirt out any kind of random stuff. But if you told ChatGPT, by the way, I can only eat between these certain times. I do work a desk job. I'm not very good at cooking. I really don't like eggs. And you start filling it with all this information about you, then the program it's actually going to deliver you is going to be way better. So if you are somebody watching this and you're solely reliant on ChatGPT to create your social media content calendar, before you do press send or whatever the button is, I can't even think what the button is. Give it some context, like let it know about you, let it learn about you and what you do and what you expect to get out of your content and everything like that. And it will give you a slightly better version that might generate you some leads.
Yeah.
I think it's about the flow as well, or like, your writing style. So, if I put a piece of content up, generally, the way I write is quite informal, so they would know that it's me that's writing. So whereas if again, I've not used ChatGPT that much, not very extensively. So it might, like, does it capture that eventually, like your writing style, or?
If you teach it, yeah. I think a good example of this, and I think exactly how David described it, you've got to give it context, but I think you have to go deep in that sometimes if you really want to use it. Like, you need to imagine that your chat that you're having in ChatGPT is like a very smart but also stupid person. It's somebody that like has access to all this information and can think rapidly, but they know nothing unless you tell them. So you've got to be so specific in what you ask them to do. And you have to almost have a conversation. That's why they call conversations. Because when you have a conversation with somebody, like I could talk to you, Shane, now, and I could say, right, let's say we're talking about nutrition. Like the amount of questions you would ask me to try and understand before you can give me a response would be a load, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You need to do exactly the same thing with chat. If you don't allow it or get it to ask you those questions so it learns, it's not going to understand about you. So you need to get to learn about you, about your business, about everything. And there's some features in there that do help with that, like projects, for example, within chat, which really do help. But you have to give it that context around you, what you do, your thought process. And the other thing you can do as well, if your content has been doing all right in the past and you want it to help aid you, take your content, copy it, put it in there saying, this is my style of writing. This is how I sound. This is what, like, how I want to come across, my tonality, and teach it that stuff so it understands it. Yeah. And then it will stop pumping stuff out and it will be crap. And you'll go back and say, you will change it and you'll send it back, actually, no, this is what I prefer. Remember this for next time. This is what I prefer. Remember this next time. And over time, like Dave said, it takes time. It will start to learn more about it. But it is down to the effort you want to go and put into it if you want it to go in.
100%. All my posts end with, you've got this, with a yellow emoji muscle arm. All I use in my post is loads of those 3 dots. Now, you probably it'd be impossible to know which posts I put out now, a ChatGPT posts and Dave Kyle posts. I'll give you a hint. If it's really late at night, I probably just can't be asked to write. So I just ask ChatGPT to do my email for me for the night and it writes it. I'll just give it a bit of context. Today I had a chat with Shane and Ash. We were talking about why social media's content is boring. Could you write this in my style, in my tone and everything, with the call to action about booking the call to come on the podcast? And it'll give me one. If I like it, great. If not, I'll give it a few more pointers. But when I post it, it'll be almost virtually impossible to know if I wrote it or ChatGPT wrote it because we've given it so much content. But the thing we have to also remember is the way I write my posts, and definitely the way Ash wrote his posts, and the reason I know this is because I asked Ash about some insights into some of the stuff he does, is I have a structured content plan for the month. Ash also has a structured content plan. So you will see over the next couple of days now, leading up to next Wednesday, I'm heavily going to be pushing join my free workshop. Because on the 3rd week of every month, I have a dedicated workshop. Because what comes after week 3 in the month, week 4, and week 4 is pay week. So you'll always see DFS, Tesco's, Vodafone. We were just talking about phone contracts a minute ago. You'll see these Boohoo and all these companies. They'll start landing emails in your inbox. Payday deals. I know My Protein always do it. Payday deals, because they've got a structured content plan. So ChatGPT is great. It can blast a load of random stuff out. Joining the FitPro portal is great. It can blast out a load of random stuff for you. Like, there's loads of different ways to put a load of random content out, but random isn't always structured. Structured is prescribed. You've decided that it has to work this specific way because then it has an outcome to it.
And I think that's the key thing here. A lot of people think they have either a content strategy. They say I've got a content strategy. Content is not a strategy alone. It's not like that. Just posting stuff out there and hoping people see it, hoping it goes viral. That's not how business works. You can't rely on hope. You need to be a lot more strategic in what you do. And you actually have, like, talking about that, you have different levels of content and where different businesses want to use them. And a perfect example is that where Dave was talking about how you have to have a structure, like when's payday weekends, what are the patterns that happen in your business? Like all that data can lead to how you do that certain type of content. Like it will lead up to, say, a workshop that's running. But you also have different places or different types of content as well. So, for example, that type of content, and to be honest with you, a lot of the content that ChatGPT generally does produce for you is content that's normally more suited, and you can kind of change this a little bit, but I find that it does struggle sometimes, is more suited towards your existing audience. It's suited towards people that are already maybe following you, already maybe not so engaging, but following you, and people that you might want to then convert into paying clients or move on that next step of the journey. There's actually other levels of content that you need as well. And I think this is where a lot of people fall short a little bit. And that is having, like, yes, you have this kind of conversion content and this content that you give to your subscribers, for want of a better word, but you also have content that you need to encourage engagement for people that aren't subscribing to you yet. And you also need content that's going to make people aware you even exist in the first place. And that needs to be approached in a slightly different way. And the key thing about this, I think Scott mentioned this about Dave before, like we talk about like all content can be boring. And that's what the whole subject's about. It can be boring because sometimes a lot of the information we'll put on our post, a lot of PTs do this, is very informative. It's like talking head style stuff. You'll say, oh, this is about, I mean, I use your content for example, like showing like some of your content's giving advice and stuff. Some of your content is very much around trying to get traction, as in like you might call out a certain thing within the industry or whatever. So like calling out stuff is what I would call engagement content. It's not necessarily for your existing followers, but other people might see it because you get more engagement. But then later you might have content that's more specific to giving some advice and help and things like that.
100%. I think it depends where you're posting it as well, because like every business is different. But we've got like our free Facebook group. But then I would create content differently for the Facebook profile, and then like we said just before we jumped on, with Instagram, I haven't worked out how to use Instagram for like lead gen stuff or anything like that. I'm fine with that, but what I do use it for is like the videos, they're just way more curated, if you like, or like they just look more beautiful or whatever, so you do more stuff with it. So I'm more do it for that, so that I can use it to post on other areas that I know that I get a bit of traction with, and then over the next year we'll probably figure out how to use Instagram properly. But yeah, and then there's emails as well. I write differently for that. But no matter what, see, I'm on the fence with the ChatGPT thing, probably because I haven't used it as much. But the biggest thing for me is that if I put a post out, I've written it. It's as simple as that. There's no any external, unless it's, there's a reason why or something, But 95% of the time, it is literally just me writing it, and I'll sit and I'll think, what's the biggest challenges for PTs right now on the nutrition side or something. And then you think of 4 or 5 topics. So maybe like ChatGPT could give you the summary of the different topics there. So you just don't have to think, and you get 10 different topics. Think, I didn't think of those 7. So it could probably help there. That's how I'd use it. But then, from there, everything's written by me personally. So I'd be interested to see how that would work, if you get me, with ChatGPT at least.
I think with that kind of thing, you'd have to, like Dave said earlier, you need to build up and teach it to go and do that stuff. And again, with that kind of content, you think you're going to have some engagement content. You've got value content, which is that. And then you also need, I guess, kind of content. Well, you do need content that's going to give offers to get people. You need call to actions, otherwise people aren't going to buy anything from you. But then the other side of it, you need that awareness style of content. You need content to help people see what you're doing. And that, a lot of people, when they do that kind of content, rely on viral style stuff. Now, there's lots of ways of doing this. Like Dave, I'll kind of making assumptions here, I guess, but this is how we've kind of talked about it a bit before. It's like a lot of your content can be very informative. So you could do a lot of subscribe-based content and convert-based content. So you could do a lot of content that gives value and give a lot of content that has strong call to actions on there to go and buy, because you use advertising to drive people to your ecosystem. So you run ads. Those ads, people come in, they see your business, they see what you do. They might be curious about other things that you do. They follow you. So that's how you can start building up an audience with that. And obviously you do an absolutely amazing job. You get referrals, so you get more people that way. That's still driving people in. Now, you can just do awareness content and get people to come in, but you have to do something else. If you're going to do this completely organically, not use ads, you can't just sit back and post content and hope for the best. you need to actively go out and get eyes on that content. So you need to start doing things, and we call this follow, like, engage as a process. Very, very basic. You understand everything about your avatar and the niche you want to work in, and you understand the places where your avatar hangs out. So what accounts do they like to follow? Who do they look up to? Who are their influencers? That kind of thing. If you're talking from a social media perspective, you get all that stuff together, and then you go to those places. You look on their accounts, and you look at, like, okay, these people are engaging on this person's post. What are they talking about on there? That can give you some ideas for your content. But more importantly, the people that are engaging on there, literally just follow them. Follow them, send a friend request, do a connection request, whatever you want to call it.
This is too much work. This is too much work, Ash. I don't have time for it.
This is why you do ads.
I just want to post and make 10 grand from just posting. Like, come on, that's too much work, Ash.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, imagine working in a business, eh?
I've got 3 posts up this week. I'm not million. Right now, loud. We want an online business, eh?
But it's crazy. Like, so the things I've got down here from what both of you two have said over the last couple of minutes now is, for the first thing you said, Ash, was the buyer's journey. There's no point just posting content for the sake of posting, or always posting buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, because you're only going to have maybe 1 or 2% of your audience ready to buy. And if those people have already bought, then you're not going to sell any more stuff. So you need to buy people who are unaware, people who are aware, people who are window shopping, and people who are ready to buy. And you've got your advocate posts to post. So when you post success stories of your clients, they then will share that post, or they'll comment on that post, or they'll be like, well done, Julie, you did really well, you smashed it today. That's an advocate style of post, because you're getting your clients to comment on that. The awareness side of stuff as well. So let's say you're posting loads of stuff on Facebook and you're getting 0 likes, 0 comments. That's not to say your content isn't working. You just need to get more eyes to it. So you post something called a this or that awareness post, something that's going to drum up a load of likes and comments that has nothing to do with what you do. For example, do you like burnt toast, or do you like non-burnt toast? Do you like tea, or do you like coffee? Do you like Shane, or do you like Ash? People are going to vote, people are going to comment, people are going to interact. That then gets the rest of your post for the rest of the week a little bit more engagement, because more people are going to see it. You then got what Shane was on about with ChatGPT. He was saying he hasn't used it too much, but he can get a load of ideas from there. And that's perfect for the writer's block. How many times have we woken up in the morning or got after a session and think, oh, you know what, I need to write a post, but I just don't know what to write about. ChatGPT is one way. Or what I used to do, I used to have a little notepad smaller than this. It was in my pocket. In the end, I had my phone, but we obviously don't have phones on the gym floor. Yeah, no phones on the gym floor. But when somebody was saying something, oh, you know what, Mary, I got home yesterday and the kids were just screaming and I just really couldn't be bothered to cook for them. So we went out, social media post. Oh, you know what, Mary, you know what, I jumped on the scales yesterday and I've lost half a kilo now. And all I've been doing was literally following what they've been telling me. There's a social media post there. So that's a great one. And then the final one is fear of missing out, FOMO. That's such a huge one. The more success stories you post, the more people are going to be like, wow, Shane's getting results. I'm getting more results and getting more results and getting more results. I need to jump on this before he loses out quick. And then he dives in from there. So yeah, those like 5 or 6 points there that you both brought up, I think like that is your social media content strategy there. Done. End.
Yeah, take that right down, jumped on.
What I do as well is, you know when we're jumping on the calls with the PTs, and I'll always go, how are you? How's business? How's your clients going? What's happening with the business? What's the next steps? And straight away, they'll say this is going really good, but I'm really annoyed because this has happened this week, and that's a pain point then. And if that PT's experiencing that, then it might be.
Let's pause you there for 1 second.
Absolutely.
You said you don't use ChatGPT. Do you use Fathom?
No.
Oh my God, Shane. Okay.
Yeah. I think that was so here we go.
I feel like I'm like my dad's in the room.
next time you do a Zoom call, install Fathom in it, and it's basically a note taker. So instead of you having to scramble all these notes down about what the PTs are telling you, it will write the notes for you and send you an email with a summary of everything that's been talked about.
This is how I use Fathom. It's going to change your world. This is
okay. Go on.
So when I'm doing coaching calls with our clients, we do our group ones like that. I'm sat in the room with us, and it's recording and it's transcribing everything. So I take that and then I chuck it into chat. And
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell me about this. And then I'll take that. I say go through that, and I will define all the biggest pain points and issues that they had, and create me a list of ideal content that will be useful for my niche because it knows it all. And I'll get a massive list of it.
Okay.
There's my content ideas. And honestly,
Fathom.us.
Video.
Was it Fathom.video? Is it?
I think it's Fathom.video.
Fathom.video. Yeah, super easy. It's completely free. Or do they charge £10 a month for it now?
Well, I think it's free one. I've been there since like day dot. I think I've got grandfathered in, but I think there's a bit of a fee to it. But just to give you some context of how good that is, the amount of people I get after people come to me now, some clients and some like other people who are messaging and things like that, they'll go like, it's such a coincidence that you wrote about that. It's such a coincidence that that post came up. I had to reach out and speak to you because like it's like you just, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, and the amount of people I tell to our clients, that's not a coincidence. It's not, you actually told me that. It's just, I'm using that to guide, and that's what that strategy is about. So when you talk about overall strategy, you need to think about that buyer's journey that Dave was talking about there, but also the strategy in your content. You have to think about when paydays are, when people buy stuff, when people get engaged with stuff, but also you need to think about what are they talking about, what things do they need at a certain time of year. You can leverage that in your content as well, and it almost feels like you know them better than themselves. So sometimes I go, I was thinking about that. What the hell? Like, how did Dave know that? How did Shane know that? It's just...
Anyway, sorry, Shane, for interrupting. Carry on.
I can't remember what I was saying now.
I'm talking back and forth sales calls for people.
Oh, yeah. So, but again, when you just ask, you're having a chat with the people that you work with and you say, what are your biggest challenges at the moment? Again, it's been selfish in a way because that helps create the content, but also, you want to help that particular client with whatever they've got going on next. But I feel as though a lot of PTs just put up, it's like a shotgun approach to the content, and to a certain degree that's okay, but if it's for the purpose of seeing what works and what doesn't, it's okay. But if it's for the purpose of, I need some sales, I'm going to put a quick post up and just a random thing, it's like, no. But if we want to put a call to action post up and say we've got a new discounted program, sort of like whatever it is, I think 7 days before that at least, we're going to put, how do we create some hype about it and get their eyes on it? And then day 2 is going to be, you have to be in the group to be able to see it. So we can track how many people are jumping in the group because of that. And then what we're going to do 2 or 3 days leading up to it. And then, so there's a strategy there. It's not like, we've done it before. I think everybody's done it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Where it's like, overnight offer, we've got 25%.
Dave wants to go on holiday or something. So.
Yeah. David Holly's cruise fund. So, but then, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You might get 1 or 2 people just by luck really jump in. Whereas, if you've got a process there, you can start tweaking the processing. And I think this part of the process doesn't work. So we can change that bit and then that increases it. And you've got a system then really, instead of just random posts going out. Does pineapple go on pizza? Yes or no?
On the random post, though, I do think there is a time and a place for just a random post.
Definitely.
And I think that is more of a reminder of you and your name, if that makes sense. So I think we've all got dogs now, haven't we? Just a picture of us with our dog. Like, it doesn't need to have any captions and nothing. It just reminds people about you, plus it gives them a bit of an insight into, so don't just post like the 5 benefits of having an orange juice in the morning. If that's all you've got on your mind, then just take a picture of yourself with a glass of orange juice, with smiling, just to remind people, so when they're scrolling through, oh yeah, Dave's there, and that's literally just in their mind and it's straight back out. But it's just a reminder of you. And it's like we say, hairdressers or wherever, it's just reminding people that when it's time for their haircut, they just keep seeing your content. So the first people they think of is that particular person. So don't just post random stuff for the sake of posting it. There has to be a time and a place for it, though.
Yeah, and I think there's an important side of it, because that's technically that personal branding. And I know some people, businesses will go like, I don't want to do personal brand. I just want to be my brand. I want to be completely for my business. I'm going to be completely honest with people now. If you want to have a proper social media strategy that's about social media, you need to have a personal brand and a business brand. There's nothing wrong with having both, and you'll be able to leverage your brand off the back of it. If you look at some of the most successful businesses on the planet, their CEOs and management all have personal brands. Perfect example of this, as much as probably his brand's going down a little bit at the moment, is Mr. Musk. Like, his entire business was built off his personal brand. when you think about it now, you look at Tesla until 2020 never run an ad, never advertised their cars. They built it all off the back of Musk's personal brand. It's the same for SpaceX, built off the back of Musk's personal brand. And you look at Virgin, personal brand again. There's all these different people that use these personal brands to leverage stuff. And I think you have to kind of add a personal touch to that. So yeah, these random posts, these should be in addition to a strategy, obviously, but you should put the odd things down about the personal stuff. Like stories are a perfect way of doing that as well. Like share stories about what you're doing in your day-to-day, about share things, what you're up to, if you're going on holiday, if you're going out for a walk with your dog or whatever it is, because it gives people that personal touch, that insight into what day-to-day life is like with you, and gives you an idea what you're going to be like in terms of a business as well. So I do think it's important.
I love going through stories. You know, people that I follow or like have respect for in nutrition or like a cool PT or something. It's like, I wonder what they get up to day to day. And then you go in their stories like 5 or 6 things. It's like, all right, oh, cool. You know, you do this in the afternoon. What's he saying?
So bad at stories. I'll tell you something about the stories. Anyone that's listening to this, you know, if you do stories and you get lots of engagement on stories, and there's people on there that aren't your existing clients yet, I was like, if you're going to do anything, you want a quick way of getting some sales in, like get in touch with those people, like start a conversation with them, because for someone to look at your story, it's not like general feeds on Facebook, Instagram, because that's basically you're trying to distract them. It's like distraction marketing. You're trying to go through and you're trying to stop them. For someone to look at your stories and spend time on it, they've made a conscious decision to click that button and look at your stories. So that means they're interested in you.
Definitely.
So that to me is like, that's a good sign that actually, that's if you're going to do any kind of a bit of outbound stuff, a bit of outreach, they're the people you want to be speaking to, because they're the ones that actually are really interested in finding out more about you.
That's surprising, Ash. So you're telling me I should look at my stories, create an SOP, find a VA and get a VA to follow the SOP to message all those people? Interesting.
Yeah. In fact, before I jumped in, you're looking at our SOPs, weren't you? With Shane just going through this like list of SOPs, and we have like this daily round things. Like, yeah, like it's a business at the end of the day. You have to have these procedures. You have to have these SOPs. It's not just post and hope. I always have to tell you, it's not just post and hope. That you might get lucky in the early days, but after a year, maybe, if you're lucky, if you've got a big following and you've had like a bit of a history doing some other stuff, then yeah, you're going to struggle. You need to have SOPs, you need to have systems. And I think something Shane said earlier, I don't know if he said it, is like we track people that move into our group. And tracking, like track this stuff, look at the data. Like, for example, I talked about like follow, like, and engage stuff earlier. Like, I know when I go onto different accounts, I know how many people that I've now invited from that account. I know how many people are engaging on stuff in that account. And if the numbers don't reach my KPIs, that account's off the list and I replace it with someone else, because I want to be effective in the time that's being spent on those things. So we track data, we track KPIs, and we know what's working well and what's not, both in the content we put out there, both in the engagement we do, both in like the full like engage stuff we do. Like, we track that stuff because that helps us understand where our energy is best spent. So yeah, it's boring, it's not like hard work, but it's a business. So
talking about stories there, there's definitely a big element to it. So like, if you're trying to grow your Instagram, why not almost spam your Facebook friends to get them all to follow you on Instagram? Or if you've just launched a Facebook page and in your stories on your Instagram, you can then link to that. So we want to try and diversify where our leads or where your prospects see in your content. So for us, it's always going to be my personal profile and the email list and the Facebook group. We want them in all three of those places. Yeah, they're more or less going to get fed the same type of content. But if they're in all those places, I know I'm definitely going to pick a conversation up from one of them. Either they'll reply to my email, they'll message me privately on Facebook, or they'll interact in the Facebook group. So if all your content is on, let's say Instagram, everything is built on Instagram, the last thing you want to do is Instagram to issue you with a ban. And I know last week, I don't know, did we talk about this last week, or was it just a post I did? We talked about if your Stripe account gets shut down and you're in really big trouble, this is exactly the same for your Instagram or your Facebook or your email list and website. Are a bit harder because you technically own them. But if Instagram decides to shut your account down because they think you did one random post about, I don't know, bad nutrition principles or something, and you're like, no, that goes against our T&Cs, and shuts you down, then you've now lost a huge audience that you've built up. So definitely try. I know it's different to a content strategy. It's more of like a lead gen strategy, but try and diversify where people follow you across different platforms, so you have more of a chance to be picked up and be looked after, basically.
I do think that is a bit of a content strategy as well. If we go back to kind of that kind of buyer's journey, like I call it a kind of client journey because I kind of break up into other stages. But let's take those three things you talked about there. You had your personal Facebook or Instagram, all that kind of stuff, personal account. You have a group, and then you have an email list. So to me, those different things are telling you, but they're telling you quite a lot of things about the different types of people that you're with. So let's say on your personal, if you're driving traffic to your personal, if you're using the follow, like, engage stuff, or even ads to bring people in and they're engaging on your content, yeah, they're interested in you and what you're talking about. So the content you put on there could be the same subjects as the other stuff, but it might be structured in a slightly different way. And the aim of that might be to say move them to your Facebook group if this is on Facebook or whatever else it will be. And if they go, oh yeah, I'm interested in your Facebook groups. I love the stuff that Dave's talking about. I want to go find out more. So in your Facebook group, you have maybe some extra live trainings in there, some extra resources and things like that you might give them. Now they come and join your Facebook group. They come and join your Facebook group. You've got their details. So you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, welcome to Facebook group. Nice to have you here. Like, I've just got this free training that's going to help X, Y, and Z deal with X, Y, and Z without X, Y, and Z. Do you want a copy? Yeah, here's a copy of it. Now you've got their email address on your list. So you're actually moving people through this process. You're going from personal to group, email list. You're diversifying very quickly. And it also tells you that people on your email list are probably a lot more likely to buy from you than people in your group. People in your group are a lot more likely to buy from you than people just on your personal profile. So you're still moving people through this process. Your content can be the same, but you can elaborate on it and give it slightly different approaches, different call to actions, depending on what stage they're at.
How do you find it, Shane, when you move people into your group? Do you find that once they're in their group, they're a much warmer lead to sell to, or do you not see any difference compared to selling via your profile?
Really, but because that's like quite at the beginning of the process. So, you know, if we can get them into the group, they've got to ask some questions. So they're definitely a PT. We'll know how many clients they've got, and they'll probably share with us at that stage, you know, a challenge that they've got. Is there anything that we can help you with straight away? We've got lots of free resources. We'd love to make sure it's applicable to you. So, you know, don't get me wrong, some people just click join, and as long as they're a PT, they're more than welcome to come in, but we're just trying to understand them a bit more. But then I know that they'll be in that group, and they could be in that group for 2 or 3 years before they buy something. Do you get what I mean? Which is ultimately, you know, they could be a brand new PT, and then they've built their business up over 2 years. They've gone from 5 to, you know, 75 clients. And at that stage, they go, I've been looking forward to getting some nutrition stuff, but we just haven't been in a position to. But in those 2 years, they've seen like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of content, you know, every single day of the week, that whole period of time. So it just depends. If we've got like an offer on or something like that, it's a really good place to put it. It works better in there than it does on my personal profile for sure. Because they're in that little gated community, if you like, and it's like that's everybody's like-minded, and we're specifically talking to the right people there. Mm-hmm. So it can definitely be beneficial in that sense, but it just depends. You know, I wouldn't say, you know, it's foolproof completely all the time, if that makes sense. But it just depends who you're speaking to and, you know, how you're using it.
Yeah.
I do think as well, like with that, you know, you always, the same with email lists, it doesn't guarantee they're going to be a lead, doesn't guarantee they're going to be a client. It just gives an opportunity to nurture them a little bit more. And I think using things like Facebook groups or communities, you have the opportunity to nurture people. I think an interesting thing you mentioned there about like 3 years, someone could become a client. I would think that's an important thing to remember, that you need to think about how you nurture people long term, understand that buyer's journey and where they currently are in that process. Because just because someone's interested now, they might like you, especially if they come from your personal content. They might like you. Like I had literally one the other day, someone messaged about the blue, so like I'm really interested in doing this. Like I'm brand new to PT, like I just love what you're doing and the help you're doing. Like I'm not going to go and sell to that person straight away. Like I know they're not ready yet, they're brand new to this. So like, but I'm going to give them resources, and I have resources. This is the cool thing. Like I have resources for those different levels. I know there's a lot of new PTs that come through. I know there's people at different stages, and I don't have to go and sell to every one of them. My products do a very particular thing for a very particular stage of that journey. But I can give them a load of free stuff that's going to help them get to that point where they're in a position for me to go and sell to them. And by doing that, I've now built up all that trust with them, all that relationship with them. So I become the no-brainer person to go to. And that's, again, using that mixture of a content strategy across different platforms, maybe it's like YouTube, Facebook, whatever, using things like a community group and using an email list. I can then work them up, whether that's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years' time, have the person to come to because I've done that work beforehand.
Nice. So, sorry, Shane, you go first.
I was just going to give a quick example, because there's a PT that's just jumped in with us probably 3 weeks ago. But the first point of contact for us was about a decade ago, literally. So I know it's a really, really unique example, but so I did the nutrition for him personally because he used to be a boxer. Mm-hmm. So it's part of my research. He was my case study. Mm-hmm. But then obviously he's been involved with boxing and we've kept in touch and I've always liked his stuff and he's always liked my stuff. But then it's got to the point where he's basically through injury and other bits and pieces, he's had to take a step back from being an athlete and he's setting up a gym now. So then he's reached out and said, I've followed you for the last literally 10 years and seen everything that you're doing. Can you give me a bit more information about how it actually works? And then he signed up with us 3 weeks ago. Nice. So, but again, I'm not saying it should take 10 years for every.
Yeah.
Probably not a viable thing, but the point I'm trying to make is you can put a post up and go, jump in with this offer, and you might randomly get some people go, oh, that sounds cool, I'll jump in. But that's not really where the success lies. Any sales that we make today or next week is because of the last 2 years worth of content. And when you think about it like that, it takes a bit of pressure off, I suppose, because you focus on the systems and let the systems do the work over time. Mm-hmm. It's like, cool, happy days. Whereas if it's like erratic and you've constantly got to go, oh, 2 clients left last month, I've got to try and get 3 back in. And it's like what's the word? You're reactive.
Oh yeah, reactive. You're reactive. Yeah.
So,
not proactive. Reactive.
Yeah, that's not like really a strategy as such, But yeah, what were you going to say, Dave? Before I rudely interrupted you.
No. All I was going to do is bring it to a conclusion, really. So hopefully, all the stuff that we talked about, maybe go back to the point where I listed everything that Ash and Shane went over, those 5 key points. Like, don't just post on social media for the sake of posting. Yes, that is a very short-term plan, but to really make the most of your social media, we actually have to have an action plan, knowing your clients, and definitely go back to everything that we've covered today. If you agree or disagree with anything we had to say, do feel free to comment on these posts, or do feel free, like Shane's done, reached out and said, guys, I want to turn up at Ash's house on a Friday morning to jump on.
No, it's turned up on the door.
No, as usual, we appreciate you all watching. We'll see you all next week. Shane, appreciate you coming on this week. And Ash, we will see you next week.
Yep. See you next week. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the FitPro Social. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.